Dark and Darker is a stolen IP. Is this game stolen? Here we go. Let's watch it. Why not? This is interesting, I'm sure.
Good morning, everyone. My name is OnePeg, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Dark and Darker.
We really, like, bro, like, come on. Like, we gotta dial this up a bit. What we got, like, I remember, like, Drama Alert, like that fucking Earth comes in, and it's like da da, like the music is fucking lit, and then like the screen changes, and it's fucking Keemstar with the G Fuel hat, and he's like, "What's up? It's your boy Killer Keemstar here," you know, and you're ready to hear all about what some 12-year-old on TikTok said 3 years ago, whenever he was 9, that he's getting canceled by his middle school audience for, right? Like, you're fucking ready for that. Yeah, come on.
See, there's the possibility that Dark and Darker may have, I guess, stolen some assets, possibly an entire game from Nexon. So this morning, this morning my time anyway, a Korean staff blogger by the name of Woody posted an article on the popular gaming site This Is Game that stated that Dark and Darker may have been created from stolen assets from the gaming media megacorporation Nexon. To be fair, this entire article was written in Korean, and I'm using Google Translate to the best of its ability to translate this, but for the most part, I think the translation is accurate, and you definitely get the idea. And for those unfamiliar, Nexon is a Seoul, South Korea-based company that is most famous for having created the game MapleStory. Although Nexon has developed a large series...
You have to remember, MapleStory was the genesis of microtransactions.
...of other games, all of them, for the most part, are gacha games.
Yep.
They're games that are derived from taking money...
So that means that Dark and Darker will have gacha in it. There it is.
...for premium currency and whatnot, skins, all of that other stuff, trying to incentivize all of us into going in as whales into whatever game it is that they've been producing. Before I get into the meat of this video, though, I want to be very clear that there are no sources, actual sources, being cited in the article.
Well,
they don't reference anyone at Nexon, they don't state that they have a source at Nexon, and they do not link to any external source. They don't even state that they had a conversation with anyone at Nexon or anyone close to Nexon, or provide any other media than a few screenshots that were taken from a games showcase that was teasing a project from August 2021. Also, while I have attempted to reach out to Terry, the CEO of Iron Mace Games, as well as a couple of other developers that I've been working closely with at the development team over the course of the various playtests,
I would definitely say that, like, if you look at these screenshots, like this screenshot, if this is a screenshot from the Nexon game, this is exactly like Dark and Darker. But
also,
I think this is just Dark and Darker.
I have attempted to reach out to Terry, the CEO of Iron Mace Games, as well as a couple of other developers that I've been working closely with at the development team.
Let me see if I can see.
Of Iron Mace Games, as well as a couple of other developers that I've been working closely with at the...
Is this exactly the same? Maybe a bit, but, like, not really. I mean...
development team over the course of the various playtests. I have not been able to reach or gain comment from any of them about this, and given the time of day that I'm recording this, it's likely that they are kind of going off to sleep right now. You know, they've been working, I don't know, 30 and 40-hour days at a clip trying to make sure that the server stayed up, so I don't blame them for trying to get some sleep. Okay, on to the article. The author states that the majority of people that are working for Iron Mace Games right now, developing Dark and Darker, are from a mass exodus of employees that at one time worked for Nexon on a project coined Project P3. The article alleges that the developer...
That's a big accusation. Holy shit.
were disenfranchised with being told to stop development on what is being coined as Project P3. The article then states that in March of 2022, there was an interview that was done with an executive at Nexon where the executive stated that Project P3 had been halted and shifted its development away from Project P3, which was being designed as some form of a dungeon crawler, where in the screenshots you can see that it looks relatively similar to that of Dark and Darker, to a project...
I think that, like, one problem, too, is that, like, you'd have to really go down into the weeds and actually look at the assets were legitimately stolen or not, because Dark and Darker is a low fantasy game. It has, like, monsters and, like, things like that, but other than that, most things are rooted in reality. So barrels look like barrels, bricks look like bricks.
called or coined as P7, which was being developed to be a Tarkov-like shooter experience. The article went further to say that in September of 2021, Nexon posted a job listing looking for someone that specialized in data gathering for tactical movement and firearms handling, between how the firearms were supposed to be held in the hands to posture, moving between cover, etc. This coincides with the idea that the project was shifted away from, again, a dungeon crawler experience to something that was much more
Like Tarkov,
Tarkov-like.
yeah.
Now, if we line this up with timing, the article states that the corporation for Iron Mace, according to corporate filings, was created in October of 2021, shortly after this job posting was made. So this at least seems like it has a little bit of merit. The article then goes further to say that the development team that had been working on Project P3, which now was moving to the Tarkov-esque P7, became jaded with having to move away from that project, which they apparently deemed to be something that would be successful for Nexon, and instead started leaking assets from P3 that they had been working on to the outside, going so far, I guess, as to have been caught in some of these instances and disciplined, again, according to the article. I know that I keep saying according to the article, but again, this is literally the only source that exists, and there are no other sources listed, so I apologize. Subsequently, the article also...
I would also say, like, this is something that, like, if there's no sources and there's no evidence, like, you could make evidence, for example, like, let's say you had a screenshot of this game that, like, Nexus was working on, or Nexon was working on, and you had a side-by-side of that game and Dark and Darker, or a side-by-side of certain assets and Dark and Darker assets, and it was a one-for-one similarity, you wouldn't need as much evidence because the evidence is evident, right? It's just there, right there in front of everybody. But we're not really seeing a lot of that. I don't think that I've seen any evidence that makes this compelling.
States and believes that the core team of P3 has either all quit or been fired, and following that event banded together to create Dark and Darker. It also says that there are some members of that core old P3 team that are still working for Nexon on Project P7. Why they went so far as to say that, I'm not sure.
What about
Perhaps
P4?
that is the source that they are getting the
Why
information
go to 7?
from. Finally, the article states that Nexon has reviewed the possibility of taking legal action against Iron Mace, but has been contemplating on what it is that they could or should be doing. Now, if, of course, Nexon has the ability to prove that Iron Mace has actually been the people both leaking the information and utilizing the assets to their own benefit, that has yet to be seen. But if they can do that, perhaps then they obviously have some legal ramifications that they could take against Iron Mace. But I think we all can agree that that would be a big shame. So, to this, I have a few thoughts. To the folks at Iron Mace Games, and I hope those guys, if they are watching this, have stuck around long enough to see this.
I don't think that the Iron Mace Games, I don't think they need to issue a statement about this at all. It's a baseless accusation. They don't have to address this in any capacity. It's not there. It's not. Yeah, of course, right? And like, if there's actual proof, then they can address it or anything like that. Like, yeah, it's just bullshit.
From me. We love you guys. Everyone that I talk to thinks that you guys are fantastic game devs and you're doing everything that you are doing for us as gamers and for your game all the right way. We think that you guys are creating something unique, fun, frustrating, engaging, and addicting in all of the right doses. Personally, I know that if I get killed in a game like this, I get frustrated, but not to the point of wanting to quit. I get frustrated in that I want to build back up as fast as I possibly can to get back to the thing that I'm trying to beat. And the struggle bus is where I have always tried to remain as a gamer. I like the growth curve, having to build myself up again. Once you kind of get there, it's boring, you know? Second, if what was said in the article is true, honestly, good for Iron Mace. I don't condone stealing, obviously, but this has a very Robin Hood-esque feel to it, where Terry and SDF and their band of merry men are trying to take on and beat the media conglomerate that is fleecing everyone for all of their pennies.
I don't agree with that. I don't at all, because I think it predicates the assumption that it's okay to steal from something if it meets your arbitrary set of standards. Yeah, I don't like that. Because, like, for example, there's people that steal from Walmart. There's people that steal from, any of these big box stores, and they say, oh, well, it's okay that I steal from them because these places have a lot of money. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, where's the line where that's okay? I mean, morally, I mean, stealing a barrel and an asset or something like that, I think that let's look at this realistically. It's not really a big deal. If you're stealing an entire game premise and an entire functionality from a game, then yeah, that's bad. But just stealing a fucking barrel and a handful of assets, I mean, cry me a fucking river. I don't think it's a big deal. Now, obviously, should they have to, reconcile that with the company? Absolutely. And also, like, it's like gotcha games are bad, for sure, but they're not scamming people. They're just fucking gamba. It's video game gamba. So, yeah, it's bad, but it doesn't mean that it's okay to steal from them. I, in general, do not like the idea of people justifying stealing because I think that it's always mental gymnastics, and the more that you explore that justification of stealing, the more it becomes transparently self-serving.
Their own website, the Iron Mace site, states that they're tired of companies fleecing people for all of their money or being run like online casinos or selling their souls for an easy payday. We all know that Nexon would have stuffed as many microtransactions into the gamma container of this game as they possibly could.
That's their right to do so. It's their right to be able to make it a pay-to-win gamba game. Whether you like that or not, that doesn't matter. They have a right to make a pay-to-win game. Currently, right? If the laws change, then it's different. But right now, it's their right. I totally fucking hate that. I don't want it. But it is their fucking, God-given right to make the game they want to make.
To milk every gamer for every penny that they could possibly squeeze out of them. And that would kill the charm that this game has created for so many. Third.
Yeah, I think that everybody can simultaneously agree that if you take a game like Dark and Darker and you make it like super pay to win, it would kill the game, but it's their right to be able to kill their own game. And yes, it would be bad, but I still think that they should have autonomy to do what they want with their own stuff.
It's very possible that Iron Mace is going to have a legal battle on its hands. And if so, I hope they come out of this as unscathed as they possibly can. Because the last thing that we need as gamers is another decent indie game dev losing directorial control to another Activision fleece machine. I'm looking at you, Bungie. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this one. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. My name again is OnePeg. You can find me at twitch.tv/OnePeg, where I stream every day around 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, please consider...
Yeah, I think that this is my... let me finish.
Consider subbing the channel here, or follow me on Twitter at OnePegMG. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? Peace.
Okay. I think in general, like, I agree with, like... I agree with how he feels. I just... acknowledge that how he feels isn't how we can run things. Like, we can't run things where if you feel like a company is being disingenuous or bad, it's okay to ignore the rules. So while I feel the same way he does, you can't run things that way. It's impossible. Things would completely fall apart. One Peg's a good dude. No, I don't think he's a bad dude. And, like, again, he's looking at it from the perspective of a gamer, probably someone who loves Dark and Darker. So, yeah, to him, this sucks. There it is. Companies ignore this rule nonstop. They do, to an extent. Actually, yes, you can take the idea and run with it. I can take a World of Warcraft or League of Legends type game. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I don't know where the line is, okay? I'm not sure where the line is, but... Can we, like, so what is being alleged here? What is being alleged is that they worked at this company and then they leaked assets publicly and then used the assets after they leaked them publicly in their own game. I mean, I think that's bad. Like, if that happened. And again, there's no evidence that this happened. Like, it's just somebody saying this and some, like, vague picture comparisons. But yeah, that's 100% bad. Like, we're not talking about a theoretical here. Like, there's a very specific thing that was said, and if that specific thing that was said happened, I think that, yes, that would be bad. So, yeah, I mean, there's the video right there. On Iron Mike's website, they said they worked for a greedy developer. I mean, maybe they did. I have no idea. But either way, you shouldn't be able to just, like, leak the assets and then just effectively take them and do that. There's no evidence of game assets being used from P3. Every asset on the game is from an Unreal Engine marketplace. Yeah, well, if there's no evidence for it, then it should just go immediately into the garbage. Corporations are so pathetic whenever it comes to taking risks on a good idea. They scrapped Dark and Darker, only attempt to make a Tarkov clone, stuffed with microtransactions that would have 100% failed. Now they see Dark and Darker becoming this incredibly successful passion product, and they want to go back on that decision to cut the game. I don't really know if that's true or not. It's most level of disgust and greed. That's just what happens. I mean, again, I do hope Dark and Darker isn't negatively affected by this. Of course, right? I mean, the game tilts the fuck out of me. It annoys me a lot. It's not really like my kind of game in that way. Because like any game where like if you die and you lose a bunch of stuff, it just makes me not want to play the game because I feel like I get like my time deleted. So I'm not even like a massive fan of this kind of stuff. But even then, yeah, I think it sucks for sure. I had so much fun playing Dark and Darker. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game too. I played it. It's just that like my tilt level for that game goes up extremely fast, if that makes sense. Assets not stolen. Nexon abandoned project idea because they thought it wasn't going to be profitable. Devs quit and make the game become successful. Well, that would mean that it's stolen. So my understanding, and like I'm sure every software development job is different, but my understanding is that whenever you work in software development and you're developing things for that company, even if the project doesn't get completed, the company still owns the IP of the things that were completed during the work on the project. Like, it's common sense. I mean, there's not even like, how could you even view this any other way? Yeah, it's all proprietary. That's what I would assume too. So yeah, you have to assign that. Yeah, assign to that condition. Exactly.